The week started with Edward Snowden reaching out to Brazil, and the NSA making a PR push with the help of 60 Minutes. But the week is ending very, very differently. On Monday, the federal courthouse behind me delivered the first legal blow to the NSA's signature bulk phone records collection program, a program that the world just learned about back in June as a result of Edward Snowden's disclosures. In the case, Judge Richard Leon said, "I cannot imagine a more indiscriminate and arbitrary invasion than the systematic and high-tech collection and retention of personal data on virtually every citizen for purposes of querying it and analyzing it without a prior judicial approval. Surely, such a program infringes on that degree of privacy that the founders enshrined in the Fourth Amendment." The program will be shut down in 6 months, pending a government appeal. After the ruling, journalist Glenn Greenwald was quick to explain the significance of what just happened.
It's an extraordinary ruling, Ari, and it's an absolute vindication for two specific attributes. One is it's a vindication of the constitutional rights of American citizens, and it's also, I think, a very important vindication for our fellow citizen, Edward Snowden.
Then on Wednesday, an independent review panel set up by the White House to report back on possible NSA abuses delivered 46 recommendations to reform the spy agency. In the crosshairs, Section 215 of the Patriot Act, which underpins the NSA's bulk phone records collection program. The report says, "We recommend that Section 215 should be amended and that the government can only collect private data from companies if the particular information sought is relevant to an authorized investigation intended to protect against international terrorism or clandestine intelligence activities. And like a subpoena, the order is reasonable in focus, scope, and breadth." Recommendation 5 goes on to say, "Legislation should be enacted that terminates the storage of bulk telephony metadata by the government under Section 215. Recommendation 4 adds, "The government should not be permitted to collect and store all mass, undigested, non-public personal information about individuals to enable future queries and data mining for foreign intelligence purposes." In other words, no more bulk collection at the NSA and no more backdoor searches. The events of the week have the biggest defenders of the NSA walking back their diehard support. The chairwoman of the Senate Intelligence Committee, Senator Dianne Feinstein.
This program, in conjunction with other programs, helps keep this nation safe. I'm not saying it's indispensable.
And it's also emboldened senators who've been pushing legislation to significantly restrain the NSA. Senator Rand Paul, after Monday's court decision, "The NSA phone surveillance program is a blatant abuse of power and an invasion of our privacy. This ruling reminds the federal government that it is not above the law." And Senator Ron Wyden, after the White House report was released on Wednesday, when combined with the U.S. District Court ruling on the likely unconstitutionality of bulk phone collection earlier this week, this report will help to galvanize support for surveillance reforms, both with the public and within Congress. So where do things go from here? Well, in the court, as a result of this week's ruling, then it will likely be the Supreme Court that has the final say on the constitutionality of the NSA's spying programs. But that could take a couple years. As for the White House and for Congress, things might happen much, much quicker. All lawmakers have to do is take serious the recommendations from the White House Review Board and then enact new legislation to curb the NSA's powers. And since budgetary matters have been resolved recently, then lawmakers could get to work on this as soon as the beginning of next year. So the week is ending with one of the NSA's most prized spy programs on the verge of dismemberment, and with Edward Snowden nearing vindication in the United States. But if he's ever going to return home, then what happens in our courts and in Congress over the next few months are critically important. In Washington, D.C., Sam Sachs, RT.